So let's go ahead and move into this. So as we go through this, keep in mind the after effect of the hurricane caused Elon Musk to get Starlink involved with connectivity. We want to keep that train of thought all the way through this thing. And so let's go ahead and get into this next part. This is a report that just came out. I think it was October 6th. I think it was the 6th. It was October paper coming from the WEF. It says Global Financial Inclusion Practices, Case Studies from China, India, and the United States. And so this entire paper, it's about 23 pages long, is just about praising China, praising India, and basically going bah at the United States when it comes to this. As we know, the United States sitting right now is currently in the work of a controlled demolition of the dollar and the financial system. And the reconstruction or the reset of the financial system, I believe, is going to happen with the Third World War, of course, because it's going to be a way of revamping everything globally. They're not going to do it piece by piece. They got to do it all at once. But for the meantime, they have to do de-dollarization to remove the dollar as the main financial transaction currency in the world, so they can bring in the new digital system. So there's a few parts on this that I want to point out. Get ready. We're going to read all 23 pages. No, I'm just kidding. But we can see here, introduction: as global challenges intensify, promoting resilience and equitable growth becomes increasingly important. And so if we jump over here, it says the paper showcases global practices in financial inclusion from the perspective of policy, partnership, and technological innovations. It looks at India's use of the Pradhan Mantri Jandon Yohana. Oh, geez. That's a long one. To distribute the KUF relief payments and China's introduction of the digital yuan to integrate underserved populations. Keep that in mind. Underserved populations into the financial system, as well as the private sector's role in improving financial inclusion. It discusses Chinese digital banking platforms' use of artificial intelligence and big data to widen access to credit for some, basically small businesses, SMEs, small businesses. The need for inclusive lending practices in the United States and how Chinese robot investment assistants can democratize investment and improve financial literacy in the general population. So basically what they're pointing at here is after 2020, the whole event thing that happened there, remember, this is one of the reasons why they pulled 2020, was to start working on and introducing digital transaction payments in the form of CBDCs, digital wallets, digital IDs, as well as excuse me, there's something in my throat and it's not great. As well as UBI style payments of these stimulus payments. And so they're praising China and India for what they did during the time. And so if we go here to case study 1 regarding India's response to the KUF, India's use of its strong digital public infrastructure to disperse KUF relief payments via that really long payment program that I just read earlier highlights the role of government initiatives in financial inclusion. This approach does not it not only facilitated immediate relief, but also bolsters long-term engagement with the financial system. And then, of course, we go with the DEI equality stuff, particularly for women. That's where the SDG stuff comes through, because they're trying to uplift women and make things more balanced. But ultimately, we know this is part of that mystery religion of bringing men down, raising up women, creating that duality, putting them on the same level. And yeah, so End Times New Age series, if you want to know what I'm talking about with that. It's rooted in the mystery religion. And regarding implementation, it says the success of India's financial inclusion efforts during the pandemic can largely be attributed to its well-established public digital infrastructure and the banking sector's collaboration. So I've talked about this before. India, they have the Aadhaar system, which is a system when it comes to digital IDs, digital birth certificates, digital social security numbers, basically stamping a new digital number on the people and getting everybody involved in their public biometric infrastructure. And so whatever you do, whatever move you make, whatever thing you sign up for, any job you take, school you go to, anything, payment or transaction, all goes back to this digital database of biometrics for whoever it is. And so the moment you're born now in India, you're instantly given into the Aadhaar system for this. So India is way ahead of the game, at least on public display, when it comes to instituting this digital system regarding this. And it says the crazy long name that I read earlier, accounts rely on strong digital public infrastructure. Each Indian national has a biometrically linked Aadhaar identity card and number combined with their mobile number and their bank account. With these three elements, the government of India targeted and deployed immediate relief to their account, to the account holders through those accounts. And so this is something that we've heard talked about a lot in with the WEF. I've shown videos in the past, and I've shown a whole bunch of papers. There's three specific systems that everybody needs in order for this new system to happen. They can't turn this new financial system on yet. As much as people say that they can, again, they're not going to do it piece by piece. They're going to do it all at once, but they're trying to get this stuff out as quick as possible. Now, do I think countries already have this stuff built and behind the scenes and it's just not out publicly? Yes, I do. Just look at what Canada did. They've been working on their CBDC since 2017, and then they just came out like a month ago and said, "Oh, we're going to shelve that." And I'm sitting there going, "No, you're not. You've got it ready to go." And you've said that this is something that needs to be done. You're not just going to shelve it all of a sudden. No, you just haven't put it out yet. These people lie through their teeth. I know, right? Government's lying. Who would have thought? But they've come out and said everybody needs a phone, a digital bank account, and a digital ID. Everybody needs these things for this system to work. And so the WEF here is saying India's got it going on. They know what they're doing. They're getting everybody hooked into this system. They're getting all these payments, UBI test payments going through this thing. That's the stimulus through 2020. And India's got it going on. So they know what's up, and they're ahead of the game when it comes to it. If we jump over to what they have to say about China, China says China's introduction of the digital yuan, or the ECNY, was a significant step in using CBDCs to promote financial inclusion. The digital yuan's implementation in cities such as Suzhou not only enhances transaction efficiency, but also integrates underserved populations. Again, here we go. When they repeat themselves like this is something that we got to keep in mind. Underserved populations. Remember, one of the main things for the Pact of the Future is reaching the underserved populations, reaching the ones who don't have the digital infrastructure, reaching the ones who are not connected. This is exactly what they're talking about when they say underserved populations. So it also integrates underserved populations into the financial system. By reducing reliance on physical cash and democratizing access to banking services, the digital yuan serves as a model for CBDC use to boost financial inclusion. Boost financial inclusion. What does that mean? People who are not connected to the system yet. They're underserved population. If we jump over to implementation, it says by the end of 2020, pilot programs have been launched in Suzhou, Shenzhen, Chengdu, and Jiangning, a new area, allowing residents to make transactions using digital wallets. Subsequent phases expanded the trials to include more cities and applications such as retail, public services, e-commerce, and cross-border payments. These are all things that the Bank for International Settlements, the guys who sit at the very top of the financial sector when they're doing this, some people say it's the World Bank, some people want to say it's the Monetary Fund and whatnot. Those guys, they do everything that the Bank for International Settlements said. If you want to look at things in the power pyramid, the BIS, the BIZ is way up there. They're not at the very top, but they're definitely up there, because these central banks and these government agencies and all these other organizations that handle financial systems can't do anything without the permission from the BIZ. And yes, that includes people like China and India and Russia and all of these other ones as well. So Keep that in mind. They're getting praised for this expansion. Now, the question is, why is the WEF recognizing countries like China? Well, I've said this before. China's financial system has been boosted through payments from the WEF to get these things online, to test them, and get them ready to roll them out to other countries. China's financial system is funded by the globalists to test and get ready to send to the rest of the world. I know there's still some people that think that people like China and Russia and stuff are against the globalists. No, they're fully involved with the globalists. Why on earth would they be doing the exact same program as all of the other globalists if they weren't involved, if they were actually against it? Again, just little critical thinking on that is very important. And so if we jump over here, case study 2 about China continued. It says Suzhou's rollout of the digital yuan was strategically executed in phases, featuring a pilot program that integrated the key partners, banks, merchants, and tech providers, and was essential for smooth implementation. The government establishes a robust digital infrastructure to support the digital yuan's issuance, circulation, and redemption, while also conducting extensive public outreach to educate citizens about its use. Okay, so this is where things get interesting. We jump down. Basically, what we skipped was them just, lashing out at the United States, which, of course, we understand that the United States is still in that controlled demolition right now for the dollar. If we jump down, though, it says call to action. It says to bridge the digital divide. This is a very, very important part right here. I'll make reference to it a little bit later as well, but I want to point this out. It says to bridge the digital divide, targeted practical initiatives are essential. Governments and organizations could collaborate to implement specific programs that improve digital infrastructure in underserved areas. There we go again, underserved areas. For example, governments could partner with telecommunications companies to expand reliable internet access in rural areas by subsidizing infrastructure projects or creating incentives for private sector investment in these regions. Additionally, mobile banking platforms could be introduced in areas with limited numbers of physical bank branches. So, governments could partner with telecommunications company to expand reliable internet access to rural areas. Well, like I said, there's a partnership that has come together between Elon Musk's Starlink and telecommunications giant T-Mobile in order to provide cell service and internet access to those who were just hit and are currently offline from the 2 hurricanes that passed through. Is there something more to this? I believe there is. But before we do that, we got some information coming from Russia. It says Russia updates digital ruble rollout, including obligation to accept CBDCs. This is early October. This came out. It says Elvira Nabiulina, the governor of the Bank of Russia, confirmed its central bank digital currency is on track for a mass rollout in July of 2025. However, we previously reported that a second wave of banks started to onboard to the digital ruble pilot in January of 2024. But it turns out this has not yet happened. Russia's largest bank, Saber Bank, was amongst the second group, so presumably it is not part of the pilot yet, I would say. In September, the central bank relaxed some restrictions for the pilot. The participant limit has increased from 600 to 9,000, and the number of merchants from 22 to 1,200. The second wave of 20 banks are still in the process of onboarding. And it goes on to say by July of 2025, the largest banks will be obligated. The largest banks will be obligated. I'll say it one more time. By July of 2025, the largest banks will be obligated to support the digital ruble. So they have to open and top up digital ruble accounts, make transfers, and accept digital rubles. Other banks have to comply a year later. The non-bank credit institutions have 2 more years by July of 2027. The governor acknowledged that the costs of supporting the CBDC for smaller banks are significant. It is providing code for the digital wallet that banks can incorporate in their mobile apps. What did we just read? Additionally, mobile banking platforms could be introduced to areas with limited number of physical bank branches. For why? Digital currency. Exactly what Russia's doing here. There will be also be mandatory acceptance of the digital ruble by merchants. I'll say that again. There will also be mandatory acceptance of the digital ruble by merchants organized with a turnover of 30 million rubles or more must comply upon launch. With those with over 20 million rubles in revenues have an extra year, and other businesses have 2 years. The central bank doesn't believe that it is too challenging for merchants to adopt the CBDC, as it plans to mandate a universal QR code with a draft law in preparation. This will be based on the QR codes currently used by SBP, Russia's faster payment system. The universal QR code has been piloted by 22 banks already. So why did I talk about that? Well, first of all, again, we've got the thing here that they are literally following exactly, identically, step by step, lockstep of what the globalists want to do. So why do we still have people out there saying Russia's not a part of this? If they were a part of this or weren't a part of this, why on earth are they literally doing identically what these globalists are trying to install everywhere else? Same as China, same as India. You know, all these countries out there that everybody says are standing up against the globalists. They're following them identically. Why? Because they're all a part of this thing. They are working on the same agenda, the same project as all these other countries, and they're following step by step exactly as it was. Again, remember, China is funded by the WEF. Guess where one of the headquarters of the WEF is? It's in China. Guess where the WEF has a conference every single year in the summer? It's in China. This is just exactly what's going on. These countries are following a script, a specific script to get this stuff done. And this financial system is very much on its way to coming in and getting ready to go. It's just not ready yet. I don't know how many times I get emails from people. Did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? And it's all these quote unquote financial gurus saying it's going to happen this date. It's going to happen this date. It's going to happen this date. And the date comes and goes and never happens. Date comes and goes, it doesn't happen. Date comes and goes, it doesn't happen. And it's just constantly people are trying to predict dates when they don't know any better than any one of us. They're just dartboard. And so we're seeing stuff come together, but something that we have to remember is the dollar is still here. Now, they're working on de-dollarization. They're working on deconstructing this. I showed a video, I think it was from 2011. George Soros was interviewed about what's going on with the financial system after the whole crash thing that happened. It might have been 2009, 2011. It was one of those years. And he was asked, how is this going to happen? What's going on with the United States financial system after the whole 2007 crash? And he said, we are witnessing a controlled demolition of the US dollar. It's going to be slow. It will become a drag on the global financial system, but eventually the goal is to bring down the dollar. And they've been doing that ever since. And so when we see new information coming out, whether it's what's going on with CBDCs or new programs or countries ditching the dollar or the whole BRICS thing, which is part of this, but I think is completely overblown. Yes, they're a part of what's going on, but I believe it's just too far how people take it with that. Some people saying it's the 10 kings when it doesn't match what scripture says. But still, we're seeing step by step the de-dollarization. At the same time, they have to time it so as the dollar goes down, countries are getting ready to implement their new digital financial system. And so when the time comes, they'll pull the plug on everything. Dollar goes away, all the other financial stuff goes away, and the new system gets plugged in and turned online. And that's going to be that new financial system, in my opinion, because we don't know for sure, but I believe that that'll be the new financial system that will happen when it comes to revelation, what we're told in there. But either way, we are seeing these countries and we are seeing these many different effects going in, getting people online. The Pact for the Future was a big one when it comes to this, as well as CBDCs going in place. Merchants being mandated, forced to do this, banks getting mandated, forced to do this. You got the Bank for International Settlements. There's constantly running these pilot programs for CBDCs and cross-border payments, getting it out there, things like Project Icebreaker and whatnot, which are still very much in play. And so all this stuff is starting to come together to create this system. There's many different moving pieces. It's not going to happen tomorrow. I know people are just, again, they listen to these financial guys. It's going, this date is going to come in, and then here we go. Okay. And then there's this other day, and there we go again. It's the same people who keep, you know, rapture's going to happen this date. Okay. Okay. Whatever you say. Anyways, so I just wanted to put that out there, let everybody know what's going on. Still very much in play. Things are moving forward, but with this Pact for the Future and this digital infrastructure, they are pushing and pushing hard to get, as they would say, the underserved populations online, which was one of the main things of the digital annex that came along with the Pact agreement that they did. However you want to call it.